South Africa, South Africa. So tell me, is Mr. Hlabisa being strategic or has he compromised? Has he sold out his principles? Do you remember? So I'm gonna show you a couple of things. So stay until the end so you see exactly what I'm saying. Then I'm gonna give you my biblical reaction so that you know how to get some prosperity for yourself. Okay, so Mr. Hlabisa, you remember of the leader of the Inkatha Freedom Party. You remember this is what he said. There's what they stood for. This is what they promised before the elections. Reallocate all unused land that is in the hands of the state. Land expropriation with reasonable compensation. Do you remember how President Ramaphosa just went ahead and signed? Trust us. Okay, here's the next one. Cut government ministries and their lavish spending. Is that clear? That's what we were promised. Cut, what do they call it? Manifesto. Cut government ministries and their lavish spending. Now, you remember that there we go, February 2018, Ramaphosa promises to cut bloated cabinet. What was happening then? President wanted to reduce the size of cabinet and government departments. And he said, growth, development, and transformation depend on a strong and capable state. It is critical that the structure and size of the state is optimally suited to meet the needs of the people and ensure the most effective allocation of public resources. Basically, the smaller that the government is, the less of your money we will waste. We will therefore initiate a process to review the configuration, number, and size of national government departments. So we're going to study this and look into it so that we don't have a cabinet that's too big, right? And of course, the size has been criticized as too bloated and wasteful following its controversial expansion by President Zuma in 2009. So in 2018, President Ramaphosa says, I'm going to cut this thing down so that we're not wasting your money. Sounds good to me. 7th of March, 2023. In case you're not good with maths, let me help you. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 5 years later, President Ramaphosa says, I am committed. I am committed to reducing the size of the executive. All right. And this is when he was appointing Minister of Electricity, Ramaphosa. So now, as indicated, this is what he says, as indicated in the State of the Nation address, I have instructed the Presidency and National Treasury to develop a proposal. I don't know what happened to the first proposal, but anyway, to develop a proposal to rationalize government departments, entities, and programs to ensure greater efficiencies. So he asked them to check how they can make it, efficient, so that you don't have 10 people doing one job when one person could have done the same job. This work will result in the reduction, it will reduce the number of ministries, and it will inform the configuration of government going into the next administration, which is the administration we are in now, April 2025, for about 9 months. Okay, so this is when he appointed Deputy President Mashatile and Minister of Electricity. Thank you, President, for your commitment. Then, when he did this, this is the leader, one of the leaders, Kulego Hlengwa in the IFP. He said, "Don't have a nanny cabinet." And this, he put it nice. Oh, I've got to read this. He says, as reshuffle comes, deal with your ministers. Stop taking on responsibilities that ordinarily should be with ministers, Hlengwa said. Right? Oh, he was hard hitting. He made his point very, very clear. So he's the IFP, he's an IFP MP. What is clear? I've got to read this. What is clear, Mr. President, is that every time your ministers don't perform, instead of firing them, you protect them by taking things into the presidency. Be decisive, Mr. President. Fire them. Don't have a nanny cabinet. You are not a nanny. If they are not working, fire them. You have a mega bloated cabinet. Mega bloated. This is a leader of the IFP. Okay. And what did Mr. Hlabisa, the leader of the IFP, say? He said the ability and capacity are there, and we hope, blah, 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 reinforcement must be done at ESCOM, because he was complaining about Minister of Electricity as well. But he says this adds to the bloated cabinet. The cabinet is bloated, like when you've eaten a Christmas meal. Cabinet is bloated. All right, we hear you, Mr. Hlabisa. Then Mr. Hlabisa goes on an interview. This is just when the GNU, so-called GNU coalition started. And this is what he said on Biz News.
Being relived again during their lifetime.
For many of us, it feels similar to 1994. Is that a exaggeration or perhaps idealistic, or are we at a second transition for the country?
Yeah. The only difference between now and 1994, in 1994, the ANC had a big majority. They could take a decision alone. In 2024, they don't have the majority. The decision must be a consensus decision. If it is not a consensus, it must be a sufficient consensus decision. And if it can't be reached, even through consensus, there must be a deadlock breaking mechanism. What is similar, you have extended brains beyond one political party working together, which allows the country to tap in the talent, skills, and
all right, this is wonderful. So the ANC will no longer make decisions on their own. There is going to be sufficient consensus, which if you read the statement of intent, you know there must be agreement within ANC and DA to meet sufficient consensus. It's just maths, people. It's just maths. So anyway, so now then you know what happened. Expropriation was signed without sufficient consensus. No, it's from the last. Come on. The person who signed expropriation was a member of a GNU, a leading member, but a member of the GNU. And signing is a very important matter. But anyway, I'm not there. This is where we go. So now this is what he then said later on in the same interview.
Finally, on the cabinet. Now, clearly, there has been a lot of criticism on the size of the cabinet. But with a government of national unity, many parties would like to be represented there. Have you broached that subject at all in your discussions?
The president indicated that he is configuring a new structure, bearing in mind the size of the cabinet. And once, as a leading party, have made up his mind, he will give the determination. And when we are campaigning, we expressed that challenge that our cabinet is bloated.
We saw that now.
There are ministries which you don't need. There are deputy ministries which you don't need. We hope he will take into consideration, as he indicated that he's contemplating on it because he himself is aware, and how to mitigate that. Now you have various political parties whom you must satisfy at an executive level so that they can have a platform to express their views and make their contribution. I'm sure he will find a way how to navigate and get a cabinet that will turn things around and make the economy of our country grow, create jobs, and deal with the challenges facing our people. Because, Ale, what creates...
Okay, so, he's not hard line about it. He's saying, I hope he can do something about it. So, just so you know, this is how our cabinet compares. I haven't checked with the BRICS countries, the cabinet of Brazil, India, China is a different form of government, so I don't know if the comparison works well. But Brazil, Russia, India, we are similar kind of, yeah. So I haven't checked with the BRICS countries, but if you compare by how big an economy a government is actually running, Japan, 20. Germany, cabinet size, 17. The UK, cabinet size, 24. The States, 26. South Africa, at the time of this article, was 30. Okay, but look at the population. Right? Population is 60, 30. Population of the states is 339, 26. Meaning our cabinet is what? 60 to the... America is 5 times as large, 5 times larger population, smaller cabinet. Okay. UK, 67 million with the same size. They're running it on 24. Japan is twice our size. Their cabinet is 50 times smaller than ours. 50% smaller than ours. Germany, their population is slightly bigger than ours. Their cabinet is half the size of ours. Okay, but look at this. With 30, we only producing $380 billion. America, with 26 people, they producing $27 trillion. The UK with 24, $2.8 trillion, not billion. Japan with 20, leading 4.21 trillion. Oh, Germany with 17, 4 trillion rands. Us with 30, 380 billion. Okay, but that was before the addition of the 2 members. So now it's actually 32 members in cabinet and 43 deputy ministers. 36 plus 4 is 40 plus 3, so 7 more deputy ministers. All right, so this goes opposite to what the IFP stands for. Goes opposite to what the DA stood for. It goes opposite to what the Freedom Front stands for. I think those are the three who are in the GNU. Okay, so but this is where it is, and I'm about to tell you why this matters. But take a listen to this and tell me, is Mr. Hlabisa being strategic or compromising? Is he selling out, or he's dealing with the realities of how these things work? I'm not making a quick judgment. And I like the gentleman. Is probably the most statesmanly politician we have in the country, just in terms of how he comes across. So, but listen to this first when he talks a little bit about the economy, and then we go to the cabinet. And Sakina ain't playing games. Sakina she's not here to play. Listen.
Our people must not be misled. The budget is not about 0.5% increase. It is about billions of rand in return that will compensate the challenge. It is not going to be a promise like before. People must hold us accountable from on quarterly basis. The government must account. How far have we gone to execute the budget? How many jobs have been created? How many people have been employed in the Department of Health? In terms of the execution of budget, is
Sorry to disturb you. Don't get distracted by him. Watch Sakina's face. That's the cream on this.
not going to be business as usual. This is a different government under the combination of more than one political party.
It remains to be seen, Minister Hlabisa, because you speak about, creating jobs. That would entail that the economy grows, and we know that government has missed its own targets. When was the last time that this economy actually grew at an acceptable rate?
2008.
So, all of that is what South Africans' reality is right now.
I wouldn't want to comment about the period where I was not part of the government. I would want to be held accountable for the period where I'm part of the government, because I will be vocal within the cabinet that we made a promise. When is this promise? And I will be vocal in the cabinet that each minister quarterly must give an account. How far have we gone in terms of the promise? So I would like to be held accountable for the period where I'm part of the government, other than the prior period where I was not part of the government.
So how would you like to be held accountable, Minister Hlabisa?
The government.
So how would you like to be held accountable, Minister Hlabisa? What should happen if you miss those targets?
On a quarterly basis, the government must give accountability as to how far has it gone. If there are challenges, what challenges are there, how to address those challenges, because we live in a reality. We can't say we will achieve it, because challenges crop up on the way, but you must have options that if there are these challenges, how to overcome them, what next time frame are you giving. But one thing I must assure you, we are not going to give empty promises. The promises that we are giving is something that we will stick on it. I must tell you, that during our campaign, we said we want to fight during the budget time that the food items that are going to be zero rated are increased. Definitely it happened. We said we want to
But shouldn't you be fighting, Mr. Hlabisa, to make sure that South Africans actually have disposable income so that they can actually buy what they need? South Africans should not be dependent on government for grants.
Thank
so
you.
that they could buy those zero-rated food items. Yes, in the short term, perhaps that is what can be done. But surely government needs to be a lot more ambitious in terms of how it wants to address the challenges that we face as a nation.
That's so true. We're not. Okay, I'm not saying anything.
Indeed, we have great ambitions. The budget is not only about grants, It is about salary increase for over a period of 3 years to all civil servants. It is about investing billions, as I have indicated, which will in turn create job opportunities. The government, as I said...
What are job opportunities, Mr. Hlabisa? What are job opportunities? Because, and this has been an ongoing debate for the longest time. These job opportunities, where are you talking about EPWP job opportunities? Because you can't really look at those and say those are sustainable jobs. You can't really look at those and say we have made a difference and created jobs for South Africans. Those are temporary in nature. And you know, they are fleeting. So what are you actually talking about?
I'm not talking about EPWP. I'm talking about the 402 billion invested in infrastructure will create job opportunities during the construction projects and post-construction maintenance of those projects. I'm talking about 219 billion that will be invested in energy infrastructure during the construction period and post-construction period. There will be people employed. I'm talking about 1.56.3 billion that is invested on water and sanitation during construction period. People will be employed, and post-construction, people will have to sustain those projects. It is a list of items, Sakina, that will create job opportunities for our people. I'm talking about 11,000 educators who will be employed. I'm talking about 800 medical doctors.
Look at her face.
Who will be employed. I'm talking of the billions of rand invested in the Department of Health to employ nurses and other health professionals out of this budget.
Which is not new. Allocations happen every year for the budget, yes. Minister Hlabisa. They do. Allocations are made every year. And yet, all of those promises we have not seen. But let me ask you, this, Mr. Hlabisa. With regard to, trying to save money, did you discuss as cabinet the issue of trimming the fat and perhaps reducing the size of cabinet at all? Or do you believe that cabinet is bloated?
The current cabinet is an outcome of the elections last year.
No, it isn't, Mr. Hlabisa. It isn't.
It is.
No, it isn't.
No, Sakina, it is. If it was a one political party with a majority, one political party could decide a no. But it is a combination of 10 political parties.
But why did you have to increase the number of positions in cabinet? Why could the 10 parties not come together and fill the positions that were there? Why did you need to increase the size of cabinet?
The positions that were there were filled by one political party. It's 10 political parties now. But the compensation, Sakina, I think we must be honest on this one. If you look outside South Africa, many countries where there is a coalition government, it takes months to form the government, followed by violence, which South Africa did not have.
Yes, but you didn't need to increase the size of cabinet, Mr. Hlabisa. You did not need to increase the size of cabinet, but you did. For years, you even complained that cabinet was bloated. And what do you do when you become part of it? You increase it even more. So, these are some of the things that South Africans are looking and wondering about.
But the compensation, Sakina, because I think it would be fair to allow me to put my point across. The compensation will be far greater than the cabinet that is extended. That is why I'm saying hold us accountable. Give us this period as the GNU, and then hold us accountable and say, look, you are not different from what we had before. I assure you, you will see a difference.
We will see. I'm going to hold you to it, Mr. Hlabisa. That was
So anyway, let me give you my scriptural Please press the like button and let me know at the bottom. Is this being strategic, singing for lunch, selling out, or it's just wisdom and the requirements of shifting from one thing to another? Why is cabinet size important? Because you'll realize there were two things that Mr. Hlabisa spoke about. They complain, the interviewer complains about jobs. He immediately says, the reason why we are taking all the more money from citizens with the tax he supported is because we're going to use that money to employ all of you. You all going to get jobs from working. And look, the civil servants that matter, doctors, nurses, because we have a public health system, sure. But he says, no, we're going to create jobs by you coming to work for us, the state. We're going to be building bridges and we'll employ you. We're going to be doing that and we'll employ you. And so this is the issue with cabinet size and a government that wants to take more to itself. I'm going to read this again from 1 Samuel 8. Is this, and he says, this is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and fifties. That's ministers and deputy ministers. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. They all gonna be working on some state project. He will take the best of your fields and give them to his attendants. Well, that's all that's been happening with land in South Africa all along. As the more they kept talking about land, the more comrades got land. Same thing happened in Zimbabwe. They said, we're taking the land. If you're not ZANU-PF, you haven't smelt that land. You're either in South Africa working a menial job, or you're one of those fools who leave their collapsed country and then they want to come to South Africa so that they can educate us to be as angry, bitter, and resentful as they are so that we can collapse our country too, right? And then he will take a tenth or 0.5% of your grain and give it to his officials and attendants, right? Like they kept saying, we don't have budget to finance our priorities. Listen to the priorities. All of them are about how they can hire us. Our priorities, but you pay. Okay, and then your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys, he will take for his own use. This is a state that keeps increase in size and power. He will take a tenth of your flocks and you will become his slaves. Yeah, work all month to keep paying more and more tax. But look at this, when that day comes, you will cry for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. So there was a context here, but one of the things you see here is that giving all the power to the state will lead to your tears. Okay? So here's the important thing. You always watch. Don't look for who's black, who's white. That's silly. Like the Chinese president, Deng Xiaoping, who turned around China from poverty, man-made famines, and all of that. China's rich today, not because of Deng Xiaoping is 2 presidents before Xi Jinping. But one of the statements he's famous for, he said, I don't care if the mouse is white or black, as long as I don't care if the trap is black or white. I care if it catches mice. And I'm not saying this to promote John Steenhuisen. I'm saying this to say this. Like, don't stop looking at all the things like who's a black party, who's a white party. Look for this. One of the important things is who is fighting for a smaller cabinet because they tend to also believe that citizens should be empowered to create jobs, not government bringing everyone to work for the government, because then the government has all power over your life beyond its scriptural authority to take. And then cabinet gets bigger and bigger, and it gets to a place where they say we have no budget, like Fikile Mbalula said, but we don't believe in cutting. We don't cut. Oh, but we must all cut, right? All the citizens must cut, yes. And in that day, you will cry out for relief. And so what you find is that the politics of envy, anger, and resentment always go together with shifting all the land to the state. It's funny when you watch EFF people, he says, we will take the land, yeah! And then he says quickly in passing, to the custodianship of the state, and he uses a big word so that it can pass through quickly. And they go, yeah, like, no, but you don't work for the state. He didn't say he would give you the land. There's no land distribution act. It's a land expropriation, which means forced taking by the government. It's not a distribution act. And then you realize later, how come all the BE deals went to the comrades? How come all the tenders go to the chairperson in the local municipality? How come? Well, because you never paid attention to this, that they used anger, resentment, and envy to take it all to themselves. And so I found it interesting that Hlabisa is preaching a justification for a bigger cabinet, like it was an act of God. No, it wasn't. Okay, but let me hear from you below. Is Mr. Hlabisa being strategic, being wise, singing for his supper, selling out, compromising, making a mistake? Let me hear from you. So no man can serve two masters because he's going to love the one and hate the other. You can't serve God and Karl Marx. So let's go ahead. Let's make history together. Cling, cling. Ring the bell. Don't miss the next one.